Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's video we're going to be making a short dress with gathers at the bottom and a bell sleeve. So please guys, stay tuned to the end of this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. So I'm gonna head to fold the fabric into two in order to cut my front piece for the dress. And now I'm taking out the length. The length is 31 inches. Sorry, the camera did not show the length at this point. It is 31 inches. It is 30, but I added 1 inch allowance. I'm taking my shoulder. My shoulder is 15. I added half inch allowance. That's 8. Now I'm taking my armhole depth. My armhole depth is 30. My bust is 35, so I divided it by 6 plus 1.5, and I had my armhole depth. I'm taking my shoulder slant, and my shoulder slant I came down by 1 inch, and I'm connecting that into the neckline. Next thing I want to do is to take out my neck. My neck I came in by 3.5 for the width, and for the depth I came in by 3.5 also, and I'm going to connect that together. I don't have a curve ruler, so I'm using my free hand. In order to get accuracy, I'm tracing it out. Next thing I want to do, I want to get the midpoint of my armhole depth. And after dividing my armhole depth by 2, I got the midpoint. The midpoint, you have to divide your armhole depth divided by 2, then you get the midpoint of your armhole. Next thing I want to do is take my vertical measurements. I'm straightening out the armhole extension in order to just get my chest line. I'm going to name that my chest line. My chest line though is 8, but I just use that as my chest line as a guide. Next thing I want to take is my half length, and my half length is 15 inches. My bust point is 10 inches, and I'm just going to mark that out and straighten it out. I'm using my tape to straighten it out at this point. You could use a ruler if you have one. I have a ruler, but I just used my tape because that's what was accessible at the time. Next thing I want to take is my hip point, and my hip point is 24. That's 9 inches from my half length, and I'm coming down by 24. I'm marking that out now, the straight line. Next thing I'm doing at this point is to place my measurements. My bust divided by 4 is 8.5, and I'm taking that out. My waist is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. I'm marking that out. My hip divided by 4 is 8.5. My hip and my bust are the same measurement. And then I'm going to just take that 8.5 down. And now I'm going to connect all the lines, all the marked points together. I'm going to connect from my waist to my bust, and then from my waist all the way to my hip and over to the end of the dress. I'm going to take half inch into the armhole, and I'm going to connect that from my bust over to the shoulder. I'm going to take it in a curved motion, and that's it. You have to go in by half an inch in order to get your armhole curve. Now I'm adding in my allowance. I'm going to add 2 inches at the bust. I took in 1.5 inch, but I decided to take 2 eventually. Then on my waist, I'm going to take 1.5 inch instead of 2. This is because I do not want to add a dart to the dress. Next, I'm going to go to my bust, my hips, and I'm going to take 2 inches in. At the down part of the dress, I took only 1 inch. This is to keep the dress a kind of shaping. I don't want it to be free. I want it to be more like a pencil dress. And before I attach the gathers, although it is not going to be very penciled, but it should not be too free. That's why I gave only 1 inch at the bottom. I'm just naming this my allowance so that it will be, you all can understand better. Don't forget to cut it on fold. The entire length of the dress is 31 inches. 1 inch is for allowance and the main length is 30. I'm just pinning it down to keep it in place. Next I'm going to do is to cut my back. I folded my fabric into 2 and now I'm just placing the front piece on the back to ensure that I have enough space for my zipper allowance. Right now I'm placing my zipper allowance, marking it out. I'm going to mark 2 inches away from the midpoint. From the midpoint of my back, I'm marking 2 inches. I'm taking I took out the length of the dress, that is 31 inches. My camera did not capture that, but it's 31 inches. If you are taller, you can add more allowance. And my length is 30. I added 1 inch allowance. Do not forget, when you're cutting yours, ensure that you add allowance for joining the shoulder and joining the end of the dress to the gathers. So right here I'm marking out my zipper at 2 inches. I'm going to trace that, and after that I'm going to connect the lines together. Right here I'm connecting the lines together in order to place my front bodice and know where my zipper allowance starts from. So right now I'm placing my front bodice on it, and then I'm going to mark out the neckline for the back. For the neckline at the back, I came down for the depth by 2 inches. For the width, if you remember, it was 3.5 at the front, so I just took the same 3.5. And for the depth, I came down by 2 inches because I want a high neck. If you want something deeper, you can come down by either 3 inches or 4 inches depending on your preference. Right now I'm just cutting it out and I'm dividing the back into 2, the zipper part. Right now I'm taking out my half length is 15, so I'm marking my half length out. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out my chest line. I marked my chest line at 8 inches and I'm going to connect that all the way. Next I'm going to mark out my hip point. My hip point is 24 and I'm marking that out. I'm taking these lines in order to be able to remove the allowance at the back, to cut it out in order to ensure that I do not have a bulge when I put my zipper. I came in by 1 inch at the half length and I'm going to connect that into the chest line and also into the hip. It's not a straight line, you're going to curve it in order to, this allowance, when you remove it, it is to ensure that you do not have a bulge when you put your zipper at the back. Right now I'm pinning it out. And that's all for the cutting of the front and the back piece. Next I'm going to do is to cut out the gathers. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4. I want to cut it at once instead of cutting them individually. So I folded my fabric into 4. The original length of my dress is 40 inches, but I added 2 inches allowance for the gathers because I'm going to be hemming the end of the gathers fabric. So after hemming, I want to ensure that I have at least 1 inch remaining. So I've gone ahead to fold the 2 of them and cut it out. You're going to join both fabric together and sew it half an inch so that it ends up becoming 1. Right now I want to cut my sleeve and I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4 and I'm just going to draw out my sleeve. Ensure that your fabric is placed equally in order to have an equal sleeve, or else you're going to have one bigger than the other. Once your fabric is all set, you're going to take out your measurement. My sleeve length is 16 inches. I added 1 inch for allowance. And now I'm just going to curve out my sleeve. For the end of the sleeve, I made it to be 11. 10 actually, but I added 1 inch for allowance. I want to take out the curve for the sleeve. I came in by 4 inches and I'm just going to curve that out. When you're cutting the bell sleeve, this is how you trace it out. I've gone ahead to highlight it so that it looks sharper, and now I'm tracing it, I'm cutting it out. Remember we folded it into 4, so you have to open the end of the sleeve. And there is it, you have your sleeve all cut out. When you're joining, you're going to fold the hem. You're going to hem it in a way you can pass your elastic in. Thank you so much guys for watching. I really appreciate this. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.